Hello and welcome back. Now, throughout this video course, we have been exploring different ways to speak and write in polite English. And a lot of the methods we've been using have been tools for softening our language so that we sound less direct and therefore more polite. Now, a strategy we can use is called a hedging strategy or hedges. And this video is going to teach you 3 ways to use hedges to soften what you say or what you write. And if we soften the language that we're using, we're going to come across as less direct and more polite. So let's look at these 3 methods. Number 1, we can use the past tense. So even if we're not talking about something that has happened before, we can actually use words from the past tense and phrases from the past tense to make our language less direct. Here's an example. I wondered if I could speak to you. So instead of going up to somebody and saying, "Can I speak to you?" I wondered if I could speak to you is a lot less direct. But the word wondered itself is in the past tense. So I wondered if I could speak to you is more polite than can I speak to you. Another example, let's say we are in a fast food shop and we are ordering our meal and the person behind the counter says, "Did you want fries with that?" We might think, why has he said did? Why is he talking in the past tense? It's because he wants to sound less direct. He would be very direct of him to say, "Do you want fries with that?" So to sound a little bit less direct and a little bit more polite, he's saying, "Did you want fries with that?" So those are examples of how we can use words from phrases from the past tense to make our language less direct. We're going to soften what we say. We're going to use a hedging strategy. Number 2, we're going to use some verbs. Now, some verbs like feel or think or reckon, these are the sorts of words that we can use again to soften our language. So instead of saying, "She should let him decide," we can say, "We feel she should let him decide." Or instead of saying, "That's the best way to do it," you could say, "I think that's the best way to do it." So we talked about the word think and how we'd use that to generate a bit of uncertainty in our language, but it's also something that we can use in terms of talking about how we feel, the things that we think. We feel she should let him decide. I think that's the best way to do it. It's a lot less direct. We've softened what we've said. And number 3, to use vague expressions, okay? So vague expressions could be something like about or kind of or sort of. Now here we're talking about something negative. We're saying there's been complaint. In fact, we're saying there's been 10 complaints. Now instead of saying to somebody and delivering bad news and saying there's been a lot of complaints, we're going to actually soften what we say by being a bit more vague. We're going to use the word about to make this expression more vague. So we're going to say there were about 10 complaints. Makes it sound a little bit less harsh, doesn't it? And it's kind of a bad atmosphere in here. Instead of saying, "Oh, it's a really bad atmosphere in here," that might come across as a little bit rude, a little bit too negative. If you say it's kind of a bad atmosphere in here, could we go somewhere else? It's going to sound a lot more polite. So these are 3 ways in which you can soften your language using a hedging strategy. So that's using the past tense, even though you're not talking about something that's already happened. It's using some verbs like feel or think. And it's using vague expressions like about and kind of and sort of. So next time you're in a situation where you want to soften what you say, you don't want to come across as rude, think about how you could use a hedging strategy, such as one of the 3 examples I've shared today. So I hope you've enjoyed my video. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.